Hey, what's up, everybody? This is a ES review. I'm going to try to make this a little quicker tonight. Try to make these quicker from now on. Just want to go over three entries that I thought were really cool today, and that I'm going to try to learn to trust a little more. I didn't end up writing these as much as I would have hoped. I was a little busy today, but I saw these entries and I thought they would be pretty cool to go over and explain why I thought they were such great entries. So we'll get straight to it. This is 2/5/2023, not 5, 2/15, day after Valentine's Day, February 15th, 2023, and we're looking at ES once again. So before we get started, a couple of things. I have the lipstick on the chart, as ICT would say. This yellow gap here is a daily gap that we have not closed. So I've had that up for a while and got midnight, 8:30 price, which are very close today. There's a very significant 15-minute gap here. I'm on the 15, as you can see here. I'm on the 15-minute chart right now. There's a significant 15-minute gap that was opened yesterday at noon, actually. So have that marked out. And then some consequence encroachment, previous low of the day, previous high of the day. And let's get right into the morning setup. There was only really one morning setup that I saw that I really liked. So let's look at the 1 minute, so we can break that down. All right, so we open up here within that daily gap. 8:30 makes a aggressive move down to grab some lows. So that set my bias a little bit on some upside today, but it really just swung pretty wildly until 9:30, and 9:30 just sort of did a little bit of the same. But if you notice, 9:30, which is this candle right here, it didn't go for lows again, but it had just gone for lows after 8:30 and coming right up to 9:30. So it did go up, but it didn't grab significant highs before going down and getting even lower lows than it did at 8:30, right? So that is another little indicator that it sort of sets a bullish bias for me. So I was a little busy this morning, so I didn't get to catch this, but this is the play that I really liked. First off, it's the first time after 9:30 that it dipped below the low that it made at 8:30. So I thought that was very significant. It actually hit the CE of the daily gap, and it recoiled pretty instantly. As you see, this is a 1 minute candle, right? And you can barely see it, right? Because it's all wick. And it came right back into that gap. And then from there, went up and displaced all of this, taking these highs. Now, it didn't take this one, but it's okay. Opened up this nice gap here. There's also, a gap here, right? But this gap is from the real move up that broke the high. So you take that gap, you put a CE on it, it comes back into it here, wicks a little under it, but the bodies stay respectful, and that's when we get the initial push up. I didn't mention these areas here, but this is the daily open gap that we had, and then there was a 15-minute fair value gap that was right in the middle of that. I'm not going to go back to it, but it was a 15-minute one from yesterday, Tuesday, right at the end of the day. It actually was 4:03, right? Well, it was 4 to 4:15 on the 15-minute candle. So I had that marked out because it was within the golden fib. If you're interested in the golden fib, please join us on Discord. We talk about it all the time. So it was sort of a retracement target, right? That's why I marked that one out. I also do daily chart prep that I point this stuff out to. So the second entry, this was all just based on time and a significant target hit, right? So second entry is this. We come up and we go through this gap, right? We go through the 15 minute. We punch through and don't do much more displacement. And we do take this little swing high, but stopping that close to the gap, and we're so close to lunch, my bias for this time, and it's just based on time of day and hitting a target right before lunch, is that it's going to come down and at least take these lows here, right? So that's what I had targeted, was to take these lows, and it did that pretty efficiently, right? It did it with this candle. I took that on a practice account, so not my main account, because it was a little bit of experimental play. I'm still working on those type of plays where it's not gap based or order block based. It's just sort of, we hit a significant target, we're at a point in time where a retrace would make sense. What makes sense, getting these lows. But it was a nice little win on my practice account. The last entry I wanted to talk about is pretty soon after that. So it actually started forming during lunch. Let me make these a little bit bigger so we can see a little bit, right? So lunch got really aggressive really quickly. Like this is 1206, right? And it swept the lows here. And, that's really all I had for it to take. I thought it's very ambitious for lunch to take even more lows, right? So at this point, what you're looking for is any signs that it's going to continue the trend up. When lunch, before lunch starts a trend, and then lunch goes the opposite way and grabs some lows, the bias is that the trend might kick off again after lunch, right? It's sort of prepping for it to kick it off again. And we got these big swings, right? At 11:37 was the last one. And this is just, taking highs, taking lows, search and destroy, I think some people call it sometimes. But one thing you can see here is something I'm very sensitive to right now, because I see this forming a lot, and it's the balanced price range, right? This kind of BPR entry, even though we have a big leg down here that takes lows again, I see this V, and it doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but it's something to keep an eye on, right? And one thing I really like about this entry is that you can use either side. A lot of people say to use the gap that is smaller, right? And we actually have another one right here, right? So these two gaps are exactly the same. This candle here and this candle here have the exact same gap. So that's a good sign that it's sort of a balanced price range. And we're looking for the next move to show itself. And then we have another gap here going down. Now you might say that's a bearish gap, right? Sure, but we come back up through that, and it can be used again, right? These areas of interest don't just go away once it's gone through, right? So you can see it comes up, and then as soon as we hit 1, what do? We go down back into that gap, and that starts the run. Now there are plenty other entry opportunities here. We have a gap here, right? That's pretty nice. But this is the one that I really want to point out. Look for these setups when you're at a point where a reversal makes sense, right? And another thing I forgot to mention, you'll notice it also dips below 830 price. That's a good sign that you're going into a discount here, and it triggers the leg up, right? Now, if you're able to enter there, which I didn't see it until after this leg up, and I was sort of kicking myself there. I got in a couple places here, but it was really nervy. You see this imbalance. I got in there as well when I came back to that imbalance and then came up. I was in and out throughout this whole run up, but if you got in down here, you would be sitting pretty as this runs up. And even when it gets a little squirrely here, right? Like this, does it break the rules? Yeah, I mean, sort of, kind of. You know, you can say it displaced through swing lows, right, on the 1 minute. In these situations, when you haven't hit the significant target you were looking for, 41.56.25 was my target I was looking for as a swing high. It was really the only target left after this one was taken. So since we hadn't hit that yet, it came down here. It was pretty squirrely. Like I didn't know if I believed in the play, but a couple of things I had in the back of my mind. We are in the PM move, right? Like we're still 3 o'clock around here. It hadn't hit what I thought was the target, just based on, you know, where the liquidity is. And you still have the end of day macro that will run at some point between 3:15, 3:45 up until, you know, close 4 o'clock. That will strive for that last target. I think this was buying time. I think this was taking some sell side liquidity in preparation for the move up. But yeah, it's tough to see at the 1 minute, and that's why it's always good to go back to your higher time frames, and it looks much nicer, right? So here's that same move. It's hard to find an entry here on the 5 minute. The entry was nice on the 1 minute. Entry's better here on the 5 minute, and we eventually go up through the target. Sorry, that's the target there, and it is still continuing up to this moment right now. So anyway, those are the entries that I thought were really neat, and you know, that I'll add to my experience, my list of ICT live experience that will help build confidence for the future. If you saw any more, feel free to comment. Feel free to jump into the Discord and discuss with us. If I had any flaws in my logic, please let me know. Just trying to learn here. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Happy trading. Bye.